Welcome to the Right Hand Roadmap, the podcast for seconds in command of founder-led companies. I'm your host, Megan Long, owner of Second First. In each episode, we show you the path to success on your journey as the number 2 leader in entrepreneurial companies. I am so happy you are here. Today, we are talking about flow and how you can enter this flow state or flow zone in your work. The idea of flow was originated by a Hungarian-American psychologist, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Your flow zone refers to this psychological state where a person is fully immersed and focused on an activity. There's a sense of energized focus, complete involvement, and enjoyment. It is often described as being in the zone. Csikszentmihalyi describes 8 characteristics of flow: complete concentration on the task, clarity of goals and reward in mind with immediate feedback, transformation of time. So time either speeds up and just flies by, or it slows down. The experience is intrinsically rewarding. There's effortlessness and ease. There's a balance between challenge and skills. Actions and awareness are merged, losing self-conscious rumination. And there's a feeling of control over the task. So those are the 8 characteristics of flow. Number 6, there being a balance between challenge and skills, is what we're really going to dive into. So flow is dependent on these 2 things: how challenged you are and your skill level. When you work on a task or a project below your skill level, you leave flow and can enter boredom or apathy. On the flip side, when you work on a task or project more advanced than your current skill level, you also leave flow and can enter anxiety and stress. As you develop new skills along the way, the task becomes easier and then you re-enter flow. I want you to visualize a graph with an X and Y axis. On the X axis is skill level. On the Y axis is challenge level. Now think of your current role. Where would you plot the current challenge level you feel? And where would you plot your current skill level? If they're both pretty equal, you're likely in your sweet spot. You're in flow. Your skills perfectly match the level of challenges you face, and you feel energized in position. If your challenge level is higher than your current skills, you likely feel that anxiety that Csikszentmihalyi talks about. You're stressed. You don't know how to handle the situations you're faced with. You might also deal with imposter syndrome, feeling like you might not actually deserve to be at the level of leadership you're at. So how do you overcome this? First is, unfortunately, time and experience. When you face a challenge for the first time today, the next time you encounter it, it will be familiar. It might not necessarily be easier, but your skill level will be higher. The second way to overcome it is to increase your skill level through something like executive coaching or a mastermind peer group where you can pull from the experience of others as you encounter challenges for the first time. If your challenge level is lower than your current skills, you likely feel bored and distracted by your role. You might find yourself daydreaming of projects or things you can work on outside of your role, but would add more challenge to your day. At worst, you might go looking for problems to solve or inadvertently create some. If this is the case, talk to your founder. Ask what you can take off their plate. Tell them you're ready for another challenge. Maybe this means absorbing another department or taking over accountabilities that your entrepreneur has been waiting to delegate. I will say, before you have this conversation with your founder, make sure it's not just your perception that you have mastered your role and that you are delivering everything that you are being expected to deliver. Maybe seek feedback first on your performance before you start saying you're bored or you need more of a challenge. As you take on more accountabilities, you might temporarily enter that anxiety zone. If you're still visualizing this chart with the x-axis of skill level and y-axis of challenge level, progress along your career will look like stair steps. You'll enter anxiety until you add the new learned skills and enter flow again. Then you might enter boredom before you take on new challenges. The path is never a clean diagonal line. It's worth mentioning that distractions can also disrupt flow. So if your days are bombarded by, hey, you got a minute, or drive-by employees asking questions, I recommend carving out a few hours each week to work alone, off-site, without distractions like Slack or email to really get into your flow state. I think I love the idea of flow and these teachings from Csikszentmihalyi because it's been dubbed positive psychology. We spend so much of our lives at work and in our jobs, and especially as a second in command, where you're really creating someone else's vision. The idea of finding this kind of intrinsically rewarding joy in your work is just so attractive to me. And, any way that we can find more fulfillment in our role, the better. To catch show notes and find links for anything mentioned in this episode, visit secondfirst.com/8. Be sure to subscribe to catch future episodes and leave us a review on whatever platform you're listening on. Remember, you don't have to navigate being a second in command alone when you have the right hand roadmap.